So how you been?
Hanging in there. How about you?
Yeah, it feels like the world's slowly normalizing. I think the weather helps. It rained for like 2 weeks, and
Oh, did
now
it?
it's in the 70s again, and so I'm a much happier camper.
That's awesome. I was going through some of my pictures that I took at the Stanley Hotel a couple years ago because I was bored, didn't really have anything else to do.
Yeah?
And I noticed a couple potential ghost photos that I'll have to throw up on our Facebook and see what everybody thinks.
Yeah, because you sent me some of them, and I think I kind of see something.
Well, I mean, I'm leaving it up to other people's interpretations. I think I see something, but, I don't know. We'll see if other people can see it.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we have something a little bit different this episode.
Yeah, we have our first two guests. I know I have been teasing the Jim ghost story, the ghost of our house, pretty hard. So we've got my roommate Christy Corville joining us.
And
Oh my God! Cat on the microphone! Cat on the microphone!
and we've got the cat joining us.
He's rubbing his face all over the microphone. And we've got Rue's husband, Darnell, going to join us too. And we're going to talk all sorts of paranormal stuff today. This is going to be a fun new episode. I'm so glad you guys are joining us on
Supposedly. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Welcome, Christy.
Welcome. I don't know if you can hear me on my mic or if it's my computer mic. I don't know.
We totally can, and it's very nice.
I know. I got to get one of those mics. That sounds better than the audio when
It really does.
Good. Oh, yay.
No, I'm like, how do we get one of those? Because you sound 10,000 times better than we do.
Oh,
So
wow.
guys,
I'll send you the link.
Okay.
we're going to make a Patreon.
And if you want us to not sound like this anymore, and you want us to sound like Christy.
Hi, Darnell. How are you?
I got it working. I was like an old man with this technology over here. Ooh, you're like in a cave. I love it, babe.
I know, and I look like I'm standing on the sun.
Yeah. You have kind of a Victorian lady in gray aesthetic happening.
Oh, wow.
I like it.
Yeah.
So, Christy, basically today I told everybody we were just going to talk a little bit about Jim and some other paranormal experiences.
Oh.
I've been teasing Jim for however many episodes we've been doing this podcast now. And I'm sure any listeners out there are like, oh, just tell us about the house ghost already.
Oh, how fun. Yeah, our other roommate.
Yeah.
Actually, I think he was here first, but.
So are we his roommates then?
I don't know. I guess so.
Okay. So why don't you start with before I moved in?
Okay. So let's see. My first interaction with Jim was probably 6 years ago. 6, 7 even. So we claim that Jim lives in the basement. We don't know if he lives down there. He just hangs out down there. That's where most of the interactions have been. Our laundry is downstairs in the basement. And I was down there doing laundry one day, and it's pretty dusty down there. I sneezed. Plain as day, like a gentleman was standing directly behind me, just said, "Bless you." Absolutely did not expect it. Turned around. There was obviously nothing there. I sprinted up the stairs and asked my kids that were in the living room, "Did you guys hear me sneeze and say bless you?" I knew that it wasn't them, but I was hoping, and not so much. So the person I was with at the time said, I told him the story. I'm like, this most insane thing happened today. I was doing laundry. I sneezed, bless you, sprinted up the stairs, never doing laundry again. And he's like, "Oh yeah, that's Jim." First of all, we don't know if that's really his name. That's just what we've named him.
It's an honorary name, and he hasn't told us otherwise at this point.
Exactly. So, yeah, my ex said, "Oh yeah, that's Jim." I said, "What do you mean? Oh yeah, that's Jim. Like you go way back." And he said, "Oh yeah, when I fixed the water heater a few months ago, I was down there messing with it, and I heard a male voice say, 'What are you doing to my house?'" I'm like, "Oh my gosh," freaking out. I'm like, "Holy cow, what did you say?" He goes, "Told him I was fixing the water heater," all nonchalant, like it was no big deal. So then we mentioned it, we're talking, exactly, right? we were talking to my son and asked him, have you heard anything? What's going? He goes, oh yeah, Mom, I hear footsteps all the time. I hear things falling down on the floor all the time, which then took me back to just a couple years ago when my friend Cody was staying here. He was downstairs. So we have a basement and a sub-basement. Which one's underground? The sub-basement? Anyway, we had the walkout basement, which is like a finished room. Cody was staying in that room. What's that?
I said, how many basements you have? You said basement, sub-basement, and walkout basement.
I guess the
take
basement
your choice.
Right, I don't. So anyway, I remember then Cody was here and he left for the evening, and I was upstairs and I heard something fall off the shelf and roll across the floor, and I'm like, that's weird. And I kind of went to the top of the stairs and listened, listening for down below, and then I heard it again. So I was convinced someone was in the house. I mean, I Magnum PI'd it all the way through the house, searching, of course, sending the dogs in the room first because, I love them, but they'll give
tiny
away.
Dogs are so scary.
Right? Like just they'll sniff them out. There was nobody in the house.
Sacrificing the dogs.
No, are you kidding me? No. I think they would do more damage, but they're feisty. They're feisty. But anyway, there was no one in the house, so I'm going to associate it with Jim as well. And then so I hesitated to tell Jessie about Jim when she first moved in because I didn't know if it would scare her or how she would react.
Yeah, thanks for that.
You're welcome.
I like it. I respect it.
But then a mutual friend of ours said, oh, so have you met Jim? And Jessie was like, Christy? So I'm like, oh yeah, he lives in the basement. He's a ghost that lives down there. And sure enough, then Jessie has had her own interactions with Jim.
Yeah, so she tells me about Jim and the basement ghost, and I'm like, oh crap. So I decided to make a deal with Jim. I said, hey Jim, I will respect your space if you respect mine. So anytime I go down to the laundry room to do laundry or anything, I'll knock on the door and I'll say, hey Jim, I'm just coming down to do some laundry. Oh, I made the dogs bark with that.
You did. The killer mini dogs. I think I got one.
Killer mini dogs. So I'm going about my life living there. There's no one at the door, you guys. That was me. So I'm going about my life living there, and I didn't really have any interactions with Jim other than in the basement. Occasionally I'd feel a little watched or something, but it wasn't a dark presence or anything that made me feel uncomfortable. It was just like someone watching me do laundry. Well, I had an audition, and I am terrible at getting out the door on time when I have an audition. So I needed a particular outfit for this audition, and I had thrown it in the dryer, and it was drying, but it wasn't coming out in enough time. I needed to get the wrinkles out. I'm running late, so I'm down there trying to get my outfit out of the dryer, and Christy had all of these clothes hanging up to dry on the clothesline above the dryer.
My bad.
And I was home alone, and like anybody who's frustrated that they're running late and can't get the thing they need, and you've got wet jeans slapping you in the face, I was like, oh my God, fuck this house. And I was just very vocal about, screw this, and I was very upset. But what I didn't realize was I had broken my agreement with Jim. I wasn't respecting his space. I hadn't knocked when I came down there. I was cursing about his area. And so he slammed the basement door on me. I was nowhere near the basement door. No one else was in the house. The dogs were in the kennels. This was before we had the kittens. So Littleface was very much in my room. Door just slammed, and I was like, crap.
You
so
hurt
I get
Jim's
my laundry.
feelings.
Yeah, I get my laundry, and I ran out of there. And it was about 2 weeks before I did laundry again. And I apologized. I said, hey, Jim, I'm so sorry. I didn't respect your space. That's my bad. I was having a bad day. Please forgive me. Let's be chill. And I felt like things kind of went back to normal.
Jim don't play no games, man.
No, he does not mess around.
The next interaction I had with Jim, it was late at night, and Christy was asleep, and her son was asleep. The cats were in the basement all put up, dogs in their kennels, Littleface at the foot of my bed, and I'm asleep, and I hear, I'm not going to knock again because the dog's freaked out, but I hear a very distinct knock on my door, 3 knocks. And I sit up in bed, and I had just laid down to go to sleep, so I was awake enough to know, oh, someone's knocking at the door. And I go, yeah, what do you want? Come in. Nothing. And I know if Christy were knocking on my door, she would say something so she didn't scare me at that time at night.
Maybe. No, just kidding.
And Zach, Christy's son, he's very much an introvert, so he is always in his room. And when he does come to knock on the door or something, it's kind of a shuffly walk and an unsure knock type. He's just very introverted. So I'm like, that doesn't sound like Zach to walk up and confidently knock, knock, knock. So I'm like, oh, maybe I'm just hearing things. I go to lay down, and right as my head hits the pillow, 3 knocks again. So I sit up, and I'm like, yeah, Christy, what? Still nothing. And little face is staring at the door, and she's looking at me like, I don't know who that is, but that's not Christy. So I'm like, I'm not saying come in at this point, because Christy would have announced herself, and Zach would have said something. I'm not going to be like, oh, come in.
Oh, no invitations. I like that.
No. So I lay back down, and I'm a little spooked now, but I'm like also getting frustrated because am I hearing things? What's going on? And one last time, and I'm like, okay, and it's quite clearly the door. The cat's looking at the door. I have this very distinct jewelry holder on the door that rattles anytime you barely touch the door. Another knock. Well, finally I go back to sleep, and I wake up in the morning, and what did we find, Christy?
What did we find, Jesse?
Okay, well, I went out in the morning to the kitchen to get some food, and I noticed one of the stove burners had been left on all night.
That would be my fault.
Christy left the stove burner on, and I think it was Jim trying to warn me, hey, don't burn down my house, because he seems to care the most about his house. That's when we've had the most vivid encounters. When someone's fixing the house, when someone's in his space, when you're complaining about the house, or when you leave a burner on and almost burn down the house.
I wonder how he feels about the cats living in the basement at night. We have to put them up at night because they're adolescent male cats that get into everything. So I just wonder if he has to share a space with them at night. I don't know. What about the doorbell the other day?
Oh, yeah. Well,
You had an experience with the doorbell, but I did too.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I did. I don't know if I told you about this because
No.
we've been like running in and out. We've been basically crossing each other in the hallway lately. Like, hey, see you, bye. We have a Ring camera on our doorbell or on our front door. So if someone rings the doorbell, then my phone will notify me. I heard the doorbell, but no notification on my phone.
Really?
And I went and opened the door and no one was there.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
I hope someone you know doesn't die. My great-grandma and my grandma.
Casual hex, just a casual hex.
Right.
I mean, drop some weird stuff that's ran through my family. So starting with my great-grandma, Beatrice, and then my grandma, who's actually technically my great-aunt, because my grandparents died in a car crash when my mom was very, very young. So my great-aunt kind of took the place of my grandma. She had this thing where she would hear a knock on the door. She'd go to answer the door, and immediately she knew that someone she had known was going to die. And she always had a name. Well, this has happened to me several times throughout my life, where I've heard a knock on the door, I go to answer it, and immediately I'm hit with the knowledge that someone I know is going to die. But I don't get a name like my grandma or her mom before her ever got. I just know, oh crap, someone's dead. So when I had heard the Jim knock on my door that night that I left the burner on, my first thought was, COVID has just started. I don't want anyone I know to die. I'm not answering that freaking door. Well, I get a doorbell. The doorbell went off. And I went to answer it, and no one was at the door. So I go and I talk to Christy, and I say, hey, did you get a notification? Did somebody ding-dong doorbell ditch us or anything like that? And she goes, no. And she actually has the video of me answering the door and being like, hello, and nobody's there because the Ring camera picks all that up. And then, sure enough, a couple days later, so I nanny for this couple sometimes since their daughter was born. And I am really close with one of their dogs, Tank. He is just my buddy and protector whenever I'm over there. He walks at my side the entire time. He spends the whole night with me. And this has been going on for 8 years that he does this, and I'm over there pretty regularly. He had actually been diagnosed with cancer, and he passed shortly thereafter, and I was devastated. So I don't know that one was Jim, but if you got a doorbell ring too, maybe it was Jim.
I don't know.
I don't know. I chalk that up to my weird family front door knocking abilities.
Have you heard the footsteps
like a
down the
force.
hallway yet? Like Zach hears all the time?
I mean, I've caught him once or twice, but for me, it's always been more of a presence, like watching me in the laundry room. And I don't think Jim's around all the time.
I don't think
he
no,
goes
I don't.
somewhere else.
I don't feel like he's here all the time either. He kind of comes and goes.
Yeah.
He's got places to be, man.
He does.
I mean, maybe he has other properties
mingling.
to check out. I don't know. Maybe he, has got some Airbnbs he's got to go make sure.
I do feel like since the kittens are older and living in the basement now, I felt his presence more in the garage. If I have to run to take the trash out to the garage or break down a box and take it to the trash can, sometimes I'll feel like the same energy that used to be in the laundry room is there. So I feel like he kind of hangs out there a little more now too.
Oh, I've definitely felt like he was at the
Do you
top
feel him
of
in the garage?
stairs. No, I felt him like at the top of the stairs.
Oh, see, him and I have a very clear space thing. So I've never felt him upstairs, though I have heard the footsteps. But I hear the footsteps
maybe
in the living
it's not
room.
Jim. Maybe it's someone else checking in on us. I don't know. That could be a possibility too. We've talked about that. So I don't know. But I mean, Jim's cool. We respect his space. He respects ours. He's been around for years. Like I said, it's not all the time. It's sporadic with plenty of time in between. But the interactions are undeniable. I mean,
he's pretty helpful.
He's got great manners. He said "bless you" when I sneezed.
Yeah, I don't think a demon could say "bless you," right? So, and
why does he sound like a disgruntled grandpa?
He does. Like, what
he
are
needs
you
to go
doing
to
in
the
my
old
house?
home.
Right.
It's like he's way past his stay. Nobody wants him anymore, but he's there in the basement, and we kind of love him.
Right? He's kind of looks after things. He does. He is a little cranky. I mean, he slammed the door.
Yeah.
Jesse.
I think
and by the way, where this door is located, there's absolutely no possibility that could have been a draft or anything like that.
Nope.
Like
it was very distinct.
Yeah.
And I ran out of there and I had tears running down my face and I'm like, you know what? Fuck that outfit for my audition. I'll wear something else. I gotta go. Sorry, Jim.
No, I think you guys should set like a camera up downstairs where the kittens are. And see if like the kittens stare off in a particular corner or something.
See, now that's
weird
a
happens.
really cool idea, and we should definitely do that.
I think Jim
then
let
I
the
feel like
kittens
if I
into the
actually,
ceiling.
I don't know. That's a whole nother. Don't even get me started.
Wait, you think
cats in the ceiling.
What?
They get into the storage area, and we have had to, like, child lock, use hand weight, like you name it, get these cats to stay in their space. And they figured out how to get into the storage area and found a hole under the stairs that gets you up into the ceilings down there. We have like the ceiling tiles down there. And then I guess they got locked in there, and one of the cat's little buttholes actually busted through one of the ceiling tiles. Like I had to.
Not gonna like that.
No,
they were going through the ceiling to a different closet that's down there that has like decorations, Halloween decorations, storage stuff. And every night they'd open the boxes and we'd come down in the morning and be like they had a different theme party every night. So one morning it'd be
New Year's.
New Year's would be out on the floor. The next day it's Halloween and we're just like, what are you doing?
St. Patty's Day. They've gotten into everything at this point. So I don't know.
Christy's been putting hand weights in front of the door to keep them from opening the doorknob because they know how to do that now. Whoa. But we had to keep going up in weights because we found out
we're at 45 pounds of weights against the door right now. And the
cat is freaking jacked. One of the cats like sits there and pushes weights all night, so he's super muscular.
Y'all, hold on. Is it the cats that's that strong, or is it Jim?
See, I don't know, because sometimes you go down there and like the weights are completely moved away from the door down there. I mean, like by like 2 feet, and the door's only open a crack. So I'm like, there's no way they push the weights 10 feet. Or
and they're small
2 feet away from the door.
And like
Jim wants some company with the cats, man.
And like cats don't have thumbs. So like,
I just heard my door rattle. I'm like, looked over my shoulder.
It's not me and all the cats are in here.
I have Capone in here with me, one of the dogs. Yeah. But so I don't know. I don't know. What if there's more than just, I don't know. I just feel like there's one presence. He's not a scary presence at all. He's kind of in and out. And as long as he minds his business and we mind ours, like, what are you going to do?
Yeah, we smudge pretty regularly,
Mhm.
and when we do, we always say, Jim, as long as you're good, you're welcome to hang around. But if you cross the line, you know we have smudge sticks, and we are not afraid to use them. So
True story.
For sure. Dang. So, what do you think is the craziest paranormal encounter you've ever had, Christy?
oh, you guys
Oh
are
my
in for such a
gosh.
freaking treat. She had to have a house exercised.
Okay,
Whoa.
well, lead
Yes.
with that. Damn.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
we got to hear about this.
Because it just sounds so insane. So years ago, I'm from California, and my parents had some property, different homes in my hometown. And I'm from Northern California. There's a lot of Native American connections from where I'm from. I don't know if that has anything to do with it or not, but my parents had some rental properties. When I got married, they gave us one of the houses as a gift. Apparently, it was a rental property before we moved in there for years. We moved in, different things had to be done. Like, I mean, the house was kind of a wreck. The carpet was a nightmare. There's holes in the walls. There was chains in the backyard that we figured out used to contain a couple of pit bulls. So we think maybe these people were dealing drugs. I don't know. But even after they completely remodeled the inside and we moved in, it just felt heavy. I don't know how to explain, just heavy. And I'm like, I have a newborn at home. So several months later, I have a newborn at home. My husband at the time works really late hours. And so I had, my daughter was kindergarten, my son newborn, and I have the baby monitor, obviously in the baby's room. And I could hear him talking, like baby talking to something in there over time, and just didn't really think much of it. I always felt like it started with me feeling like someone was staring at me, and I'd look over my shoulder. Obviously, I'm the only one home, and I'd look over my shoulder, and it was like a shadow would pass behind the wall. It was peeking around the corner or something. I thought I was losing my mind. Then things got a little bit crazier. Then you'd start to feel chills when you walk down the hall in certain areas. Then my daughter got to the point where she wouldn't get up and go use the restroom at night. She would stay in her room and found a spot to go. This is so sad. I hope she doesn't kill me for telling the story. But
how old was she at the time?
She was 4 and 5.
That's allowed.
She would go and pee in the corner of her room and then climb back in bed and go to sleep. And when I figured it out, I said, "What's going on?" And she said, I don't like going out in the hallway at night because the dark people are out there."
Oh.
Chills. No, Darnell, not black people. Like shadow people. Right? Yes. Yes. So, my room's right across the hall from hers, and it got to the point where I felt like there was things looking at me. I would sleep with the light on. I started to get really paranoid and ridiculous. Even friends that would come and visit didn't like to stay after dark. Like, it was just really funky. So that happened. Then I remember.
Okay, hold on. Your dog just got off your bed. And I saw it in the mirror, but not on the bed because I can't actually see the bed. So, like, I just saw him, and I was like, "Girl, you need to get out of there." And then I realized it was just her. Don't mind me just freaking out over here.
So I'm trying to think. All these different things kind of transpired over time. I had a friend of mine. She was visiting, and we were sitting in the living room, and I saw a shadow kind of pass behind her, behind the couch. And she, at the same time, she goes, "Ooh, I just got the chills." And I go, "How weird." I think Popeye, our dog at the time, just walked behind the couch. So we both looked behind the couch. Nothing there. It gave us we were just ooged out. And then my son, as he got a little bit older, he was talking about, we lived in this house almost 2 years. So he's like 1.5, getting a little older, and he's starting to use words. But he kept talking about his friend Gloria, would talk to him in his room. I'm like, we don't even, know anyone by that name, no family member, no family friend. It was very strange. So all of this is going on. I've got to back up. Was I pregnant at the I was pregnant at the time. So that happened, the dark shadow people, the madness, just this sense of darkness. I couldn't explain it. So like I said, at this point I'm sleeping with lights on and I'm terrified. Well,
so you're backing up to when your son was still in your belly.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So sorry, I'm like jumping all over the place here. So all of this transpired the 2 years that we lived there, this weirdness happening. The first thing that really got me, it's like, there's seriously something going on. But then I second guessed myself and I shouldn't have. So I'm very pregnant. We just moved into this house. My husband's sleeping next to me. And I can't get comfortable. Like it's the latter part of the pregnancy. I'm ready for this to be done. And I can't sleep. I roll over facing my husband, and standing on his side of the bed is a young man in his early 20s, baseball cap, good looking guy, just nonchalantly looking down at him. And how do you explain, like he was iridescent, but not glowy. Do you know what I mean? Like he didn't fill the room with light, but I could see details, kind of like I look in this Zoom meeting. Anyway, so I looked at him and I thought to myself, like, I'm sleeping. I got to be sleeping. This isn't happening. I'm going to roll over and go back to sleep. So I'm like, nope, I'm wide fucking awake. I'm wide awake at this point. So I roll back over and he's still standing there looking down at my husband. And then he looks at me, like eye contact, looks at me in my face. And I just stared at him and he smiled. And this just kind of just turned and like nonchalantly walked towards the corner of the room and just vanished. And I am like trying to wake up my husband. I'm like shaking his arm, like, wake up, wake up. Oh my freaking God, wake up, wake up. And he wakes up and I tell him what happens. And he totally thought that I was nuts. He's like, you were dreaming, you're not sleeping well, you're really pregnant, you're uncomfortable, you're tired, like whatever, go back to sleep. So I blew that off. Fast forward now, about close to 2 years later, with all the peeing in the corner of the room, terrified of the shadow people, Darnell.
Shadow eyes don't matter.
Oh my God.
And and like
you're gonna get haunted by shadow people now, Darnell.
Oh,
you brought that on.
That means I'm gonna be haunted by shadow people. You fuck.
So
they'll think I'm one of them.
Oh my
God. Oh my gosh. So anyway, I called a friend of mine that I knew like wouldn't think I was nuts, and I'm explaining to her everything that's going on, and she says, I have another really good friend who I didn't know her well at the time, but she said this is what she does for a living. She comes in and gets rid of dark entities and things from houses. She not a priest. She basically does an exorcism type thing, but so I'm like, at this point I will try anything. Just have her come over. I'm sleeping with the light on. I'm terrified. My kids aren't sleeping. It was just crazy. And my husband at the time didn't seem too affected by it, but also he was working for a startup. So he was gone until like 1-2 o'clock in the morning. And then he was out the door again at like 7 a.m. So it was really like, we were in this alone. So my friend comes over with this other mutual acquaintance, and she starts setting up candles and crystals, and I'm like, what is happening? What do I do? And she's like, just kind of follow my lead. And she said, we're going to start in your room. And I have the curtains were open, but the window was closed. You could see into the backyard. This will make sense in a second. And so we're sitting there in a circle, and she's lighting these candles, and they smell like clove. And I'm like, I can't believe I'm like doing this right now. This feels so like weird to me and out of character, and we have to like hold hands, and she's saying these things, and I immediately am hit with like pressure on my chest, and my response was to start laughing hysterically. Like I couldn't stop laughing if I tried. I couldn't. And so my other friend asked her, like, what's wrong with her? And she said, oh, this is a natural reaction. Sometimes this happens. Well, then my friend starts laughing, and we can't stop. And then we stopped abruptly as she continues to say these different things and this, that, and the other. The curtains start like blowing like there's a breeze in the room, and the window is closed, y'all. I am promising I was 100% sober in this moment. There was no alcohol involved. And she continues to talk, and then she starts talking to someone named Patrick, and I'm like, what in the world? And she's telling him, like, this isn't your family. You need to go find the light. And I'm like, is this like real? I feel like I'm in the middle of Poltergeist. We look out the window. We had a newly planted tree in the back, and I want to say the trunk is probably like 4 or 5 inches in diameter. It is bending back and forth, y'all, like almost touching the ground, moving. And then you hear like these moans and creaks throughout the entire house. I'm freaking out at this point, and it got crazy. And she starts shouting things. Lights are flickering. I mean, poltergeist, y'all. And then it just stopped.
Whoa.
And at the end of it, like even the darkness and the fear and the heavy, all of it was just gone. So
Nice.
crazy. So then she had like the debrief, and I'm like, who the hell is Patrick? Patrick was the young guy that was standing next to my husband's side of the bed. Apparently he died at 26 from a drug overdose.
Oh no.
Purchased from that house. And my husband was gone a lot. I guess he decided that like the kids and I were his family, and he would
take over.
Whoa.
Right? Isn't that terrible? And Gloria wound up being one of my son's spirit guides.
Wow.
And this was all new to me. So now I'm very much, I've learned so much since then. It was years and years ago, but that was kind of my crazy introduction to this whole, like, spirits are real, y'all. They are
so,
real.
like, when you were laughing, was that like that nervous, like when you are so uncomfortable that you laugh? Like, what was
possession, I think.
At first, it was, and then I couldn't stop. Like it was I just couldn't stop. And I was even like, okay, guys, I can't stop freaking out. I know, laughing. It was intense. But again, that wasn't even my first real moment. In this same town, my first home when I was a baby, my parents said I used to talk to somebody in the vent in the basement.
Oh, no.
And I would see shadows walking around my house as a baby.
The nope of the week.
Yeah. I kept crawling
into
the
Shadow Clan. Man.
I know, right? I kept climbing into the fireplace and playing in the soot. And my mom I don't remember this. My mom would ask me, like, what are you doing? And she's like, I would tell her, they told me to play in here. So we moved from that house, not for that reason. I remember my mom telling me these stories as I got older. I'm like, holy cow. So we moved from that house. Years later, my dad called and said, you're never going to believe this. So the house that we lived in, you swore you saw creatures or saw something that would talk to you and your sister. Oh, my sister saw it too. One time it opened my bedroom door and was standing, and we saw like his shadow outline in the doorway. And my sister is 14 months younger than me. She was probably about 2.5. And she said, Daddy. And it growled. And I remember I screamed bloody murder. My dad came in and grabbed me and took me to their room, and I slept. And they just thought I was just sick or scared of the dark or whatever. So anyway, fast forward years later, the couple that bought the house, they put the house back on the market because the husband and wife had separated. He had her committed because she swore that house was haunted.
Oh, no.
No, that happens to ladies so often. That's so cruel.
I know, poor lady. Since then, that house has been on the market like 4 or 5 times. I don't know about my house that Patrick and the shadow people were. I don't know who, I think it's the same owners that bought it after us. But I mean, of course, I had the house cleansed. So going from a non-believer to I experienced it many times over.
3 haunted houses in at this point,
yes,
right? In your life.
And I'm good. I'm at my
Patrick
capacity.
and a gym. Too bad it wasn't Patrick Stewart. He could stay around if he wanted to.
Gladly. We'd make him coffee every morning.
Tea.
So, lots of madness. And like I said, I was a non-believer before all this. And I don't think I'm crazy. I've been tested.
Well, I mean, if it was happening when you were a baby, then, like, you're kind of steeped in it.
I guess. And then maybe my kids are prone. I don't know. But Jessie, I mean, she knows Jim, so.
I do.
Please, Jim's a walk in the park compared to Patrick. Jeez.
Oh, well, Patrick was a good one. He was just kind of hanging out. It was all the other madness that was in that house. I don't know. I don't know what it was to this day. It was just, I'm glad it's gone.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So Darnell, welcome to the show. What you guys have been dealing with a little something in your basement.
We have, and I don't know. Yeah, that was one of my stories. I wanted to tell a couple, but yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, we'll start where you want to start. This is Rue's husband, Darnell. We're so excited to have him on.
Yeah,
they're
so
still in Germany.
We miss you,
Romania. Yes.
He's the taker of sheep and clay.
I am the Catan conqueror.
Yes.
I was just going to ask, are you talking about Catan?
He's like too good at board games, you guys.
No, he is, and it made me cry once while playing Catan.
It really did. It was.
She's just too innocent and genuine. She was like, "Look at all my sheep," and I was like, "Monopoly card, give me all your sheep." Dude, it was so unnecessarily cruel. I'm sorry.
Flock, and then you did it the next turn with all of my clay.
Your flock? I'm sorry that you recognize it as a flock.
It was my flock. They had names.
Is it a flock or a herd?
No, flock sheep.
Flock of sheep?
Like Jesus
What's
has
the
a flock.
gaggle?
A gaggle of geese.
Geese.
Yeah.
Okay.
A murder of crows, a glaring of cats,
I'm
business of ferrets.
So a gaggle is just negative. Like, cut out that gaggle over there.
Okay, but a murder of crows? I mean,
I love that.
That's a good one.
That's a little dark, but yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
They're shifty.
Okay, so let's see. So I wanted to tell a couple. I think I have like about 3.
Yay!
And they're pretty short, And I thought I'd start out the first one with some brevity.
Woo.
So back in the day, this is 4th grade Darnell,
Oh, I bet 4th grade Darnell was cute.
Bit of an a-hole, but I could be cute, I guess. And
still true.
So my 4th grade teacher, Mrs. Wilson, who I had a little crush on.
Wilson.
She was like in her 40s or something, Wilson. You know what I mean? And so Mrs. Wilson, for 2 weeks, she decides to do this class on mysteries of America and certain phenomena. And, we touch on like the Loch Ness and Loch Ness Monster, Chupacabra. But there was one that was just prominent, and it stuck out for my 4th grade mind, and that was Bigfoot. Bigfoot, Sasquatch. I don't know why, but the 4th grade me was just enthralled by the video she was showing, like that old school video of him walking across the creek and stuff. It was just captivating for me. I was like, oh my gosh. And it stuck with me. And so there's Bigfoot. And just for some background, I'm a kid from New York City, nowhere near any woods or anything. But here I am, obsessed with Bigfoot. And it got to the point, this is like, I want to say 4th grade me is like in 98. And I'm using that AOL internet, all of it. It was rough. But even then, I'm like muscling through dial-up internet to get to these Sasquatch and Bigfoot websites. And it would you'd go in the website, and I don't know why, but just the Bigfoot's websites, they would be all like dark woods background. I don't know how they did it for the technology then on a website. It looked great for little 8-year-old me or whatever, 9-year-old me. And yeah, there'd be like these noises in the backgrounds, and then I'd get to the point where I was so obsessed, I'd be like reading abduction stories of people abducted by Bigfoot. And then as I'm reading these different abduction stories, they're like these growls in the background. They're like, bro, this would be like the different noises of like recordings of Bigfoot. So all of this information is just going through my mind. In my little mind, I'm processing it. These dark abduction stories that were kind of twisted. One of them, this guy got killed.
Oh.
And I'm just having like the toughest time sleeping. Like, it was really bad because I got to the point I thought Bigfoot was coming for me. And again, I'm in New York City, not New York, upstate. No,
that does sound like a really bad 90s movie, though. Like, Bigfoot goes to New York. Bigfoot goes to Manhattan.
I love it! Darnell!
There's this Biggie song where, like, for like 2 or 3 lines, he's talking about, like, a Sasquatch in New York. And I think of that all the time. It's the funniest thing.
Like, it's true. He was in New York.
He's friends with Biggie!
So I'm just like, I'm having the toughest time going to sleep, and my New York apartment is like railroad status. So from my bedroom where I had like my bunk bed, if I looked across, I could see into my bathroom. And I don't know why, but like it was just like you turn off all the lights, and that just felt like a pit. Like that was the end of the apartment. Bathroom. Boom. And the darkness was just like amplified through there. And then it would get through points where like I was like, fuck this. Thomas Edison out here. I can turn the light in that bitch. And I'm turning on the light in the bathroom. No more dark pit. But then it was weird. With my angle from the bunk bed, I could see reflection in the bathroom. And I could think there was like this little shadow head. I'm like, oh, is that Bigfoot peeking around the corner in my bathroom looking at me? And then I made the mistake of telling my my mom and my stepdad this. And from that point, they would never live it down. I would never live it down. They slightly misinterpreted what I said, and they were like, ha, he thinks Bigfoot is coming through the stove. Look at this mofo. And I'm like, no! And for like 2 years plus, they're like, oh, what? I'm like, I don't know, I'm kind of scared. They're like, what, you think Bigfoot's coming through the stove? And that just became the running gag.
Oh
and
my gosh.
It got to the point where my mom was like, you know what? I'm going to go to Miss Wilson. She's keeping you up with this. Why aren't you guys learning stuff? You're not supposed to be learning about Bigfoot. She's scaring my kid.
Best teacher ever.
Right?
Right? I mean,
like,
Darnell, have you ever, this reminds me of the movie Harry and the Hendersons.
I know, I was just thinking that.
What if he just wanted to be your friend, Darnell?
But yeah, that was my first story. That was a slight intro, some fun. Bigfoot
Before
in
it
the
gets
bathroom.
dark.
In the stove.
Now every holiday, I'm sending you Bigfoot stuff.
Yes! Please send a Bigfoot doll and I will hide it in the stove. Oh darn, I gave myself away.
It's happening.
You know what's funny? Rue told me about some of this stuff. Told me about the topics and such. And I have darker tales. My mind went there first. I was like, well, I might not have had an exorcism. I had a Bigfoot sighting. Bigfoot was my first, and that's where I don't know, of all the things I remember and forget, as we all do as children. I remember the Bigfoot, bathroom in the stove, all that.
Oh my god!
So if he's in New York, would he then be Biggiefoot?
Bigfoot.
See, Jesse, it's the Don't Have Dad squad. We got to make these horrible puns.
Wow.
Drew and I decided my Patronus is a middle-aged man. I know I change my Patronus every week on this podcast, but it's a middle-aged dad. Since I didn't have a dad, I love dad jokes and all sorts of dad humor, so I made
she's great with the puns, and I totally agree with that description, Jesse.
All right, babe, what's next?
Okay, so we've got Bigfoot out of the way. Now, I'm going to go to my ROTC times in Kansas City. What got me to Kansas City in the first place? I'm from New York. land in Kansas City to the Army, and I love KC, by the way. Let's get that. Yeah, I'm a New Yorker through and through. Love New York. I'm probably gonna retire in KC though. But I'm making good money from someone who like grew up like poor. Like I was in a better spot than like my parents at that age, and I was like, hey, I'm loving life. And I lived a little below my means, and I got a decent apartment. It was my first apartment, 1 bedroom, but hey, it was my little palace. I loved it. And I don't want to say it was hood, but it might have been hood adjacent. It was the quality was lacking.
It was like 9th and Jefferson. We can triangulate because we don't live in that country anymore.
Yeah, it was definitely Quality Hill. And my first apartment. And like everything's normal for like the longest time. Almost like, I don't know, 6 months plus, everything's fine. But then there was this one time where I'm just like exhausted. And just quick sidetrack, like I'm someone who had like a mom who was like obsessive about security. Every night when I went to bed, I had to get my behind out of bed and make sure the door was locked. It was annoying. And guess what? It's still with me. My wife, Rue, will testify. I will get up and I will check the freaking lock.
Good. Keep our girl safe.
Yes.
From the 90-year-old Bavarians who are 800 strong in this town.
And I will always get up, check the locks. And of course, my own apartment, I'm doing that for sure. It's literally like it's with a passion. It's consistent. But for some reason, I'm really exhausted. And then I get up in like the early evening. I want to say it's about like 7-ish. I was exhausted from some ROTC thing. Went to sleep a couple hours, wake up, and then I go to my hallway and my door is creaked. And I'm like, no, bro. I know myself. Sure, at worst, I didn't lock it and it would just be closed. But creaked? There's no way. There's no way I would just leave it creaked. And thankfully, because I'm a dude, as you've said in like some of your, Chrissy, you said one of your past ones, like the man you was with, he didn't feel anything. So I'm a dude. I don't question things. Right. I'm like, guess what? I didn't lock the door. I don't care. My stuff, my TV, my MacBook isn't stolen. I can live. Close the door, clink, thought nothing of it. Life goes on. And I was happy. I was so ignorant. For most of this, I was ignorant. And then it happens again. It happens like, I want to say like 3-4 months later, it happens.
I'd be moving. I'd be packing.
Right?
I'm out.
And again, like, I want to say it was past the creek. It wasn't all the way open, but we're talking like, what is it? Half moon out there.
Like the toes of someone's foot could have been in your house.
Easily. And again, I'm like, whoa, I must have been bugging. But the back of my mind is like, bro, you know yourself. What the F? And whatever, I close it, I lock it. And then before I met Rue, I would have every Halloween, I would have my little movie marathon. And it would always be like the creepiest things. And for me, it's like those first person films. And it was Paranormal Activity, followed by The Fourth Kind.
Oh.
It was just
no.
Like back to back. And I would just be done. Like I would be fearful, mentally exhausted, and I'm just like, okay, now I gotta go to bed. And I'm a grown man. I'm like, what is it? This was a few years ago. I want to say I'm 27, 28. And again, like this goes back to the Sasquatch days. I look down my apartment from my bed, and from my kitchen, I just feel something. And this is after one of my little Halloween marathons. And I look down, and I'm like, grown man. But I'm like, yo, I finally forced myself to sleep. And then from then on, I never really I never really felt anything. Once in a while, it'd be like, what's going on in that kitchen? I'm having like these little Bigfoot flashbacks.
It was Sasquatch in there cooking you up a meal.
Up on ya. You wanted to make some popcorn and watch some paranormal
He was
activity.
checking on your stove, making sure you turned your burners off.
So this goes back to like my little kid days, looking down my apartment at the very end, the room that was just the end of it. And this time as an adult, I have to be the kitchen. I'm like, what's going on in there? I feel something, but I'm a dude. I ignore it. Cool. Then I meet Rue, and we're enjoying life, loving life. And then the time I knew she was the one, she starts throwing down for your boy in the kitchen, which she didn't have to do, but she was glad to do. I'm like, shoot. She wants to, she loves it. I'm like, and she's awesome. I'm like, damn. It was great. But she sensed something, didn't tell me. She's someone who's spiritually inclined.
She's in tune.
Yeah.
Seriously.
She's tapped in.
She didn't say anything, and I was so thankful. Didn't say anything. And then she has her friend, one of our closest and dearest friends. How are you if you're listening? Alanis. I love our girl. And she's spiritually in tune. And me, Alanis, and Rue, we have such a great chemistry. But I noticed when Alanis was at my apartment for just that one instant, she was slightly keyed up. She was still her light and joyful self, but I can just sense that there was something, there was a shadow on her mind. You know what I mean? There was something poking around there. And then she tells me, and then Rue finally tell me, once we move out, me and Rue get engaged, I have to go back to the big army to start my officer life. Rue and Alanis are like, Darnell, there was something in that apartment.
Yup.
We felt something, and Rue was like, when I cooked in that kitchen, I felt something. And I was like, no.
And also, he's not going to say this because he's a man. No, I'm being very gender stereotyping. He's not going to say this because he's my man. All of his appliances were trash. And, like, maybe it's because it was, like, a kind of janky apartment, but, like, his oven never worked. His fridge would leak. Like, there were all of these electrical things that would happen in this one very concentrated room where the energy totally was.
That makes me wonder because Jess, like our ceiling fan, just one night, the light started flickering, and then we just heard the fan stop working, and now the ceiling fan is done, like in our dining room, done. We just had to have the one in the family room replaced a few months ago. I don't want
to talk negative about Jim's space, but I also just think the rental company has done no upkeep on this place, and you've lived here for such a long time that things are just going out.
I'm fixing stuff on my own now.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll just do it my dang self.
That could be part of the problem too.
But I just wonder though, well, not that like Jim's not doing a good job with his home. I'm not saying, but a lot of times electrical things start to go on the fritz when there's, energies from the other side floating around. So.
And Rue was telling me, she was like, me and Alanis didn't tell you there was something there because it wasn't malevolent or malicious, cool, but she was like you are in spirit, it might have been a little mischievous. So, it creaking. So when I told her about the creaking door, she was like, oh, yeah, that felt like something it would do. She was like, it's not going to do anything dark, it's just going to mess with you. Oh, my gosh. I was creeped out.
It was like he would leave me sometimes to go to like class or whatever really early, and I did not love being there by myself. I was like, he's pretty cute, so I'm gonna wait it out. But I was like, I'm not leaving this bedroom now.
You always stayed in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Now you know why.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, guys, I have to leave. I don't want to leave early. I know. We're just getting started. I miss you guys so much. I have to go hop on another previous scheduled thing.
Ooh.
But I know. I can't. Well, I'm going to have to go back and listen to this later because I want to hear other stories, Darnell. And it's so good to see your faces over the computer. But
yes, thank you so much for joining us.
Of course. Until next time.
Yes.
Yeah. Bye, Christy. We'll have you on again.
Bye. Bye. Hugs all around.
All right, Darnell. So what else you got for us?
So my last one is bang. Me and Rue, we go from engaged and from my spooky KC apartment to being married and in Germany. Yay. And we move into a nice flat. I love our spot because we're both city folk. I'm from New York, she's from KC, and we want something that's, little towny apartment. We don't really necessarily need a big house or anything. So we have what is it? It's got so many rooms for an apartment. It's crazy. It's awesome. And yeah, we enjoy where we live. But there's our basement. This basement. And it's a back door. And so just a quick run through. From the front, the very downstairs, there's this little clinic where they have this makeshift waiting area that goes out to the front.
It's literally just our front hallway, but because of COVID, people have to occupy it now because they can't all be inside the practice.
Oh, gotcha.
So people occupy that space. And you would think, oh, I live in my abode here. I'm gonna use the back door. For people that live in a residency, the back door is the main traffic way. So before COVID and before all that happened to the front hall, downstairs, I'm like, hey, let me start using the back door like someone who had the house. Cool beans. And I'm going down the stairs. I'm taking out our trash. Our trash is in the back. And I just feel something from our boiler room, just from the right. And I don't know if it's intense or not, but it was just present, enough for me to look. But then, not only that, the way our whole German home is set up, you want to leave the back door, cool, you just open it and leave. No, guess what? You actually have to unlock it. You unlock it, and then once you close it and you go through the entryway, you gotta lock it back again. It's such a thing. So here I am. I'm new to the key mechanism because theirs is opposite of the American key system.
Yeah, you have to turn it the other direction. Which
what? That's weird.
For lifelong Americans is very bizarre. And then when we move back to America, we're gonna be bad at keys again.
Yeah. It was definitely a weird shift. So here I am, bang, I gotta put the garbage down and fumble with this back door. But at the same time, I'm in this downstairs area and the time I'm doing it, giving it a couple turns, and 2-3 times, I just look over my shoulder. And I'm 29 at the time. I'm 30 now. I am a grown man, and I'm looking over my shoulder at an empty room, and I'm in the Army. I'm someone who I feel like a complete punk after this whole ordeal. I'm like, stop being a punk. You just didn't want to go out the boiler room and go down the boiler room or whatever. But even then, from that instance, guess what? I threw the garbage out. I made sure I locked the back door. I went in through the front door. Then a few days or a week go by, and I tell her, I was like, babe, I don't know why. I was such a punk. I felt nervous down there in the basement. Aren't I a punk or something? Expecting to get that. Oh yeah, that's weird. And then she's like, no, I felt something too. And I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, straight up.
Yeah, and my wife Rue, my babe, she
I love how you're saying my wife Rue on my podcast, by the way. Excuse me.
Thankfully, she's spiritually astute or whatever, and she's protecting my ignorant behind. And she has this semi-pact with whatever resides down there. And it's
you have a basement agreement too.
I do. I definitely do.
And she's like, you take the basement, we have the upstairs, and I respect you the few times, or we respect you the few times we go down there, and you don't come upstairs. And thankfully, my wife protects me from the few times I want to be foolish. So we have a few drinks in us. I'm like, babe, you want to go downstairs in the basement? And she's like, are you crazy? No. Even our Puerto Rican friend Polo, we've told him, and he's a funny guy, and he believes that too, And we tell him, but then afterwards we get drunk with him. I'm like, Polo, let's all go down there. And him and Rue just look at each other like, this American. So yeah, those are my three tales. Hopefully they were short, like I went on.
I definitely have a basement agreement. Like every time that I'm down there, because I have to keep my bike down there. And so like every time I have to go in, I'm like, hey, I'm just getting my bike out. I know that's your room. That's all. Like, and I'll get it out, leave, whatever. You get a sense of being watched down there. You do. Oh, babe, tell about that one night.
Yeah, that vague one night.
No, I think he knows the one night.
Continuation. If it wasn't that one night, a series of nights. Before I get to the one night, what usually happen is we're just chilling in our bedroom, and we can see our entrance around the corner, and the light will flicker like the hallway light. That is motion sensor, and so this is what makes things weird. So me and Rue thought we had a neighbor downstairs that we just never could meet. That it was after a while it became like, babe, how is there no one downstairs ever? Because guess what? When this sensor came on, we have this loud door that's like to the front way. That thing closes, it makes a statement. It would just be light flicker, no door, nothing.
Just the light will just come on.
And we finally got a neighbor, I want to say last month.
Yeah.
So now it makes sense when the light comes on, then followed by the quick door slam. Mm-hmm. But that whole stretch of time. And then I think the one night Rue's referring to, where we had just extreme door rattling going on. It was just, and it felt like somebody knocked, and it was so bad that it was like a dump from the wind, but then it was also like footsteps, just goo, 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 goo. And then I'm just like petrified. Like I thought I was waking up. I thought Rue was asleep, but I didn't care. I was like, babe, you're waking her up. I'm not gonna be fucking alone for this. And I'm just shaking her. I'm like, She's like, babe, I'm up. I hear it too. And we barely got any sleep that night, and we're just like cuddling each other. And we chalked it up to the wind because we think we had a wind tunnel with all our windows open. It was windy that night, so.
But it still felt pretty. I mean, it felt heavy. Oh. Yeah.
You guys are in a very haunted town in Germany, right?
We are, yeah.
That leads to Rue's tales. You do your thing, babe.
Oh, okay. What were you gonna say, Jesse?
Oh, I thought it was hilarious. I was looking up the town you're in, and an army site popped up, and it talked about how it's a very haunted town. And I'm like, oh, even the army is like, hey, this place is haunted.
Yeah.
What did they tell you about it before you were stationed there?
Nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
They didn't say, hey, it's super haunted. Here's a website to where you're going or anything like that?
Absolutely not. They're just like, oh, it's a great town and you'll love it, and here you go. This is your flight. And then you get here and people are like, oh yeah, it's hella haunted. Welcome. And it's like, oh, all right, thanks. And that's why we have a Facebook group, because they don't tell you any of this.
And their Facebook group is out of this world. Like, I hope you guys get to the point where you can show like video or something, get your views. Hey, you can watch this. But what we've seen from her Facebook group has made me tear and cry. I think we showed you one of them, Jesse.
Oh yeah.
Ominous shadow, but it was intense. And then plus the story they tell you behind it. Oh no.
Yeah.
No.
I believe Rue checked that out too, or she tried to get in touch with the person.
Yeah, I haven't heard back. I'll probably hit them up again.
I do have a little something for the future I wanted to drop on you.
Okay.
But you reached out?
I have, and I'll probably like poke again and just be like, hey, we'd really love to have you.
I found a complete skeptic in Ghost who is willing to let us give him a haunted object and report back on how it goes. But I want to do what I was planning on doing to you and give him 5 items in a box, not say anything about which one's haunted, and see what happens.
I love it. I love it. I'm now kind of hearing the SNL Justin Timberlake and Lonely Island Dick in a Box though. It's not
ghost in a box. It's a ghost
one.
in a box. Put your ghost in a box. Step 2. Put your ghost in the box.
Step 3, now you're gonna give him the box.
Step 4, your apartment's haunted as fuck.
Pretty much. Well, babe, did you have any other stories you wanted to share?
No, that was it, babe. You could take the reins.
Oh, well, thank you so much for coming on and telling your tales.
We appreciate having you.
You'll have to tell all your little friends. Make them listen.
Mm-hmm. My adoring public.
Yes. Absolutely.
Oh, man, we need to do a video chat where we just catch up on non-ghosty things to do. I miss seeing you and hanging out with you guys, even if you make me cry during board games, Darnell. Do you guys hear the cat just screaming in the background?
I love it.
I'm so sorry. He's very vocal today.
It's okay.
Artemis, knock it off.
Oh, so that's the other thing. In our apartment, I think we might have a ghost cat.
Oh, put a box out. Cat trap.
I haven't seen it, but we've lived here for 7 months now, I want to say. And I'm still, like, cat hairs will just, like, flutter down onto me. Which, like, I don't keep the cleanest house, but, like, I've swept enough times in 7 months that even if the people before us had a cat, you would think it would pretty much be taken care of.
Get all sorts of it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe some still, like, in the corners, cobweb kind of thing, but, like, I will find, like, cat hairs on my sweaters, like how you do with a regular cat, and I swear to God, like, when I'm editing sometimes, I'll hear your cats, and I'm like, I think it's, like, finally communicating.
Once again, I have 1 cat. Christy has 2. They are roommate cats. They are both my roommates, and they are roommates in their own beings. Don't write me off as the cat lady yet. Darnell, do you ever have any cat hair fall on you? And
no, not on me. Well, I think once or twice.
I pick it off of you all the time.
Yeah, Rue always points it out. Like, it could just be there. But I have to say, Jesse, because I listen to a lot of the podcasting, you are like a toe away from cat lady.
Oh, man. I know. I'm on the edge, and I hate it.
Do you have any updates on the head?
I haven't purchased it. He reached out to me. It's just during COVID and everything, it's really hard to justify
a $400 silicone head.
Yes, it's an impulse buy. I'm also hoping that maybe, just maybe, if it sits in his garage a little while, I can maybe get a lower price. But I don't know if we're gonna get sick in the future or if the nation's gonna shut down again or anything. And it seems smarter to have the money in savings as much as I want my head so bad.
Yeah, no, I know we're kind of all preparing for a second wave. So if you're trying to be more economical, you texted me the other day that Anita's still for sale.
Yes! Okay, I just happen to now be addicted to looking at eBay haunting lists. Oh, they're in boxes now. I don't know what's happening. Oh, okay. So I got on eBay and checked out their haunted listings again, and who pops up but Anita, the doll we talked about last episode that I was mysteriously drawn to, which is so weird because she only had 3 hours left in the bidding, when our episode took place, a week and a half ago? A week ago?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and now she was up again and had 57 minutes left on the bidding.
Wow.
And I don't know if she's still up there, but I had to step away. I had to be like, no, let's not.
I don't know. It sounds like she's meant to be yours.
That could be the haunted item we sent Justin.
Hey, there you go.
But once again, I'm afraid to bring her into the house prior to that because I just don't know how Jim would take another entity in the house.
Yeah.
And also, that just sounds like a good way to get possessed.
It really does. I'm so not a fan of the dolls situation.
Yeah, I don't understand how we have to do an episode where we look into how the spirits are trapped in the doll.
Yeah.
Because I know some of these dolls on eBay are spirits someone's communicated with and then put into a doll.
Right.
Like, how does that work?
Do you watch What We Do in the Shadows?
I love that show. It's my favorite. I don't miss an episode.
You've seen season 2 with the doll?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
No spoilers. Go watch that show. It's
Darnell, do you watch it?
Oh yeah.
I love it. And what's his face? I think my favorite character is the husband.
Laszlo. Yeah.
Laszlo. He was a brutish fellow, but he was quite enjoyable. With his posturing and his his girth. I love his girth with his little postures. It works so well.
I freaking love the episode where he disappears for 2 weeks and starts a different life. And he comes back and they're all just like, "Oh, you were gone?"
That's my favorite. No, and I want to think I'm Nadja. I think most people want to think they're Nadja. I know I'm Guillermo.
You're Guillermo. You're so Guillermo.
I know. But that means I'm secretly a vampire killing badass.
True.
Yeah.
Darnell, who are you?
What's his face? I think I'm pretty much Laszlo.
You're so Laszlo.
I adore the guy in the basement. What's his name again, babe?
Colin Robinson.
Colin Robinson. Oh my! I love that they featured him more in season 2. Bonafide. He's probably my favorite character.
Oh my god.
I love him, but I'm probably Laszlo.
You're
what about
probably
you?
Laszlo.
Who am I?
Yeah.
I'm probably, if you've ever seen the documentary.
Yes.
Yes, I would be. Oh, what's his name? The Impaler one.
Oh.
Vladislav, the Impaler.
Yes.
That would probably be me, I'd guess. Who tries to turn into animals but can never get the face right.
Yep.
That'd be
no, I just love when he goes down. It's Taika Waititi when he goes down to Peter and he's like, "Peter, we are having a meeting," and Peter just growls and he's like,
"Okay."
Peter will not be joining us at the meeting because he is 4,000 years old.
Maybe I'm that guy. Who's that one? Why am I blanking on all their names all the time?
I know. It's been a minute since I watched the documentary.
Oh, it's the best, though. I love it.
Yeah.
I watch it 7 times a year.
It's so good. I made him watch it. That was one of our... We actually watched that in the Baltimore airport on our way here. I was because I was watching it just out of that, I want something comforting and familiar while I'm stuck on this, layover. And he's like, "What are you watching?" And so we watched it together. Got hooked. It was last fall with season 1 had just come out. And so we binge watched all that and have been so happy with season 2. Yay!
Oh, season 2 is by far the best one.
Oh, it's fantastic.
So good. But yeah.
All right. Well, I have to get going and jump to a different appointment, unfortunately, too. We should wind it down. It's been the hardest time getting a hold of you lately because we've been on opposite schedules, and with you in Germany. And
I know.
Every time I go to text you, I Google what time is it in Germany, and it's always it's 4 a.m. in Germany, and I'm like, crap, I can't talk to Rue.
I literally have on my phone, and I don't expect you to do this because I'm the only person in Germany, but because everyone I know is in Kansas City, I literally have a clock translation widget.
Oh, yeah, I downloaded an app to check specifically what time I can text Rue.
Yeah, I scroll over and I'm like, why is no one texting me? Oh, because it's 6 a.m.
What we need to do is you need to just have your messenger on mute because that's how we communicate most of the time is Facebook Messenger.
Oh, you can always text me. Like, I wake up to people every day. Like, this morning you texted me and you're like, I wish I could text you right now. And I'm like bleary-eyed just waking up. I'm like, you can, I'm up now. Yeah, no, you're good. I wake up to so many messages because, like, I go to bed at 3 in the afternoon for you. So.
Oh. Well, Darnell, we're going to prank you with Bigfoot at some point. Just know that that's coming.
Oh, you hope. Please don't tell Uncle Drew.
Oh, he's gonna be in on it. I actually have to prank him today. There's a song that he kept getting stuck in my head yesterday, so I think when I get off with you, I'm gonna call him real quick, acting like I have a work question. I'll text him first, say, hey, I have a work question, pick up when you can. And I'll call him, and then I'm just gonna sing the song and hang up.
Which song is it?
It was from a 48-hour film project. Drew and I are the city producers for the 48-hour film project here in Kansas City. And there was a little competition over the weekend, the Global Film Challenge, where filmmakers competed in a bracket-style competition against filmmakers from different cities.
Nice.
And one of our teams that won, I can say that now because this isn't going to be out for a while, but they don't know they've won yet, had this amazing original score in their film. It was about a time-traveling dog.
Okay.
And the dog has a relationship with this tennis ball, and the tennis ball is kind of like the devil on its shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes to get the tennis ball, and he breaks a frame, and he feels so guilty about it while his human's gone that he builds a time machine to go back in time and fix the frame, but the frame keeps breaking.
Oh, no.
So the original score was okay, I'm going to sing it very badly.
Okay.
I broke the frame. I broke the frame. Got no one to blame. I broke the frame, and I broke the frame. And it kind of played during the credits and everything, so Drew kept singing it and gets stuck in my head.
Oh, that's
I'm
amazing.
going to call him today, and I'm going to sing it. I'm going to put that in his head.
You need to do it with the gif of you at the infomercial shoot breaking the frame.
Yes! You made it so much better!
You're welcome.
Ooh. The master plan over here. I see it.
Oh, yes. Don't tell him. Don't tell him. Don't tell him.
So, babe, can you help out and tell people where they can find us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram?
At Supposedly Pod.
Okay. And we're also at supposedlypod@gmail. And I think that's it, right, Jessie?
That's it. If you would love to share a listener story with us, please send us a message or an email at supposedlypod@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook. Please rate us. It helps people find us and get the word out there more. We'd love to start doing some fan benefits or something. At this point, we don't know if our parents are just listening or nobody is. But we hope you are because we want to hear your stories and your input on what would make this podcast better.
And if you like it, share it with a friend.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us this time. Darnell, you got to help us out. On